Bret Hart came into WCW. In the book, Controversy Creates Cash, hell of a book. I recommend all you guys read this if you dig wrestling, and in particular the Monday Night Wars and the career Eric Bischoff had. But you felt like, when Bret Hart came to WCW, it was more of a shell of his former self. I mean, the deal with Vince had happened, the Montreal screw job, and obviously, the death of Owen was still weighing heavily on him. What was his frame of mind when he first came in? Because he got a sweet deal. It was a great deal financially for Bret. Mm-hmm. He comes in there, and to me, just from my perception of Bret, because he had been there so long, and when I rolled into WWF, I remember when the Montreal screw job went down. Of course, none of us knew about it, and I was a big fan of Bret, and he was our champion. And so I didn't know. I was like, I told Vince, I said, man, we want to do our champion's gone. He goes, oh, we'll be fine, Steve. He goes down there. For me, my perspective looking at it just didn't seem like he ever fit. But so creatively, what was the plan for him? Because I really don't remember too much of, I remember he worked with Goldberg a little bit, and allegedly, he got the concussion from Goldberg. That's their story. I don't know anything about it. Did he fit?
He didn't. And that, part of that was his fault. Part of that was the energy and the effort and the attitude that he had about it. Part of it was because of everything he went through. I mean, you can't minimize. I can't minimize. I didn't understand at the time how bad the Montreal thing affected him, because it really did. It would have affected anybody, but it affected him probably more than it would have affected even some of the top guys that we both know, in ways that I don't quite understand to this day. But I didn't know that. I didn't sense that at the time. I figured we'll get over it. It's all right. New day, new opportunity, new talent to work with, great money. You can overcome that. But the thing with Owen, it took every ounce of life out of him that I knew about. Right. I didn't know Bret really well.
Yeah.
But I had met Bret previous. Bret almost came over once before. Yeah. And I'd gotten to know Bret fairly well. I felt like I did. I mean, we stayed in touch. Even when I met him the first time, we were almost going to do a deal, and he decided to stay at the WWF. That didn't work out, and he came back. I kind of felt like I knew him, but man, the thing with Owen was just devastating to him. So, but when he did get there, I said it before, and it's unfortunate that he dislikes me now because I say this, but I don't mean it in a derogatory way. But he was a shell of what he was. Right. So that was partially the situation, partly was his approach to the situation. Part of it was my fault. Did I have a great, creative, $1 million idea in my head? Hell no, I didn't.
Right.
Should I have? Yeah, I should have. But I didn't. So it's a
and
combination.
I only knew Bret as well as I did in WWF, and we loved working together, and we had so many great conversations. I consider him a very good friend of mine. But, I know Bret's somewhat of a loner, and so he was a loner even in WWF, and everybody had the utmost respect for him, including myself, and I loved to work with him. But, he had his tenure there. He was there for so long. It was okay to be that loner, as I was myself. But when he came down that WCW locker room, he really kind of almost, seemingly to me, and maybe this is a question that'd be better asked for Bret, but didn't really fit in.
Not at all.
Because everybody was all clicked up.
Everybody, it was clicked up, and it was, everybody, how it was, and everybody's a little concerned about their role in the company and how much of the spotlight they're going to get. And there was history, there was history between he and Hogan, there was history between he and Flair, there was history between, him and a lot of people. There always is and always will be. But that history and the way he was impacted by the things we talked about earlier, combined, and his own normal nature to be a loner, those things combined to make him, he showed up an hour before the show, 45 minutes before the show. And I'm sorry, I don't care how good you are, how professional you are, you're dancing a dance with another guy, and you got to have a little bit of a vibe going before you go out there. Right. You don't have to memorize anything, but you can't walk in a half an hour before the show and expect it to be what you want it to be.
Right.
And there was a lot of that.
Yeah. One of my deals